Okay, thank you, Bob. Good evening and welcome to the meeting of the regular meeting of the Wareham School Committee. Today is Thursday, April 8th, 2021. Obviously, this is a remote meeting, so we'll be taking all of our votes by roll call votes. The meeting is being recorded and broadcast live by WCTV. And we'll go right to the first item on the agenda, which is public participation. We'll go ahead and see if there's anyone who would like to address the committee. I don't see anyone. So we will go to the next item on the agenda, which is good news. Is there anyone who would like to share good news?
I'd like to congratulate the boys soccer team who got their first league wins in the South Coast Conference in almost a decade this past week. I think they got 2 actually. So getting back on the right track again.
Wow, it's been that long. That's awesome. I'm sorry, I should go backwards and say there are 4 school committee members present. Mary is unable to join us tonight, unfortunately. Anyone else have good news they'd like to share? Dr. Schwam? Are you muted? I think you muted.
Sorry. Our students for like the 4th year in a row have been accepted to Ivy League universities. So again, I think it's rather exciting, but the list of universities overall the last couple of years is quite outstanding. So I think it's important that that's noted.
Yes, thank you. Anyone else? Mike?
I just wanted to ask which school this year?
Smith, they were accepted to Harvard, Smith, Holyoke, the list I have so far. And that's only I don't have the complete list, but, and then, so we've, Brown, I think too. So we have, we've got a couple of years of Brown. We've got Yale 4 years ago. We've got Harvard 2 years. We've got and those are just the top, but there are other, Worcester Polytech and aeronautical engineering. And I mean, the schools are just, I have a list in my office. It's just very, very impressive where our kids are going and where they're exploring. It's just amazing.
That's great. That's great.
It is. Okay, well, I just wanted to take a minute to thank Dr. Shaver-Hood for setting up the visits for the school committee to the schools. We were able to visit this week the middle school, the high school, and Minot Forest. It was just really, really great to be back, be able to be in the building and see some of the great things that are happening inside the building. You know, it was just really great. So I really appreciate you setting that up. Next week, we'll have the opportunity to visit Deacon's school. So I'm looking forward to that as well. I just wanted to say congratulations to the DECA students who did so well at the state tournament. Congratulate Indiana Troop for being elected as a state officer. I had the pleasure, the fun of being a judge at DECA for many years. And I saw what the kids, you know, the level of the kids who compete for that those state offices is only 6 in the whole state. And the fact that he was elected to one, that's really a great honor. So I just want to say a big congratulations to him for that. I'm sure he has a lot of work ahead of him. And also to say congratulations to another student at the high school, Cecilia Bottino, who was recognized this past week for her work. I know she's involved in a lot of different things, most recently recognized for the G20 virtual summit that she took part in recently. So congratulations to her. And that is all of my good news. Also not with us tonight is our student representative, Emily Roberge, was not able to join us. So we will look forward to her next update at our next meeting. Next, we'll move on to the minutes of our last meeting on March 25th. Does anyone have any questions or additions or changes to those minutes? No. Mike?
I'd just like to add a little note. I mean, it mentions that I arrived late, but I'd like it to just read that I arrived late due to technical difficulties.
Okay. We can just ask Jamie to add that in. Would you like to make a motion to approve the minutes with that change?
That's so moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. April,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
and myself, yes. So 400. Thank you. And then we will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the district handbook.
Can you see the Wareham Public Schools,
Yes.
this one? Okay. Okay. So when you look at the changes, the proposed changes in the district handbook, really it is with the date and the amended policies. So I've listed the amended policies for your review at home, and the school committee had received their list in their packet. So during the school year, we have met as a policy, we reviewed these policies, or they would have been covered last year and not inserted at that time, but left to be inserted this year upon the change. So just to go through them, we had the administration of medicine, background checks, closing of one building, emergency closing, health procedures, goal statement, homeschooling, on implementing of life-threatening allergy treatments, discrimination based on gender identity, online instruction, residency, security, and security with visitors. Going on, the wellness, the general law, school committee, staff names, and school calendar. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. If not, I would ask for the committee to please vote to approve the district handbook.
Okay, does anyone have any questions? I just have one question. What is the process for reviewing the district handbook? How does that?
So what we do is we review all of the policies that have been reviewed during the year since the last approval. And then we look to see if there are any law changes that we need to add.
Okay. Okay, if no one has any other questions, I'll take a motion to approve the district handbook.
So moved. Second.
Okay, roll call vote. Mike,
Yes.
April,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
and myself, yes. So 400.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we will move on to the Wareham High School handbook.
Mhm. All right, Mr. Palladino.
Great, thank you. So I just want to thank my two deans for being here tonight, Charlene Deneen, Christine Sinelli. I just want to go over the process a little bit on how this happens. Traditionally, we make notes throughout the school year in the handbook. As things come up, new situations arise, and we look at the handbook, make some recommendations as situations come up. There's usually about 25 tabs in my handbook by the end of the year. And this year, honestly, there was one. And that has to do with obviously not dealing with a high level of discipline. So that's how we start the process. We then have a handbook committee that reviews the document front to back and makes suggestions. The deans chair that meeting, both Christine and Charlene. And they even this year threw out a Google Doc for the teachers that couldn't get involved in meeting to present suggestions to them so they could meet on those. We also have the Student Advisory Committee, which you met a few meetings ago. They review it, send us feedback. And then, like I said, the staff had a final chance to review towards the end of the process. So as you saw, I'm really happy to report that we had an opportunity this winter to get rid of midterm exams. Midterm exams to me doesn't have a lot of educational value and disrupts the process. And we got rid of it because of COVID. We'd like to get rid of that again I'm getting a lot of feedback. I'm sorry. We'd like to get rid of that again, moving forward. So that would make the terms equate to 22.5 versus a traditional 20, and the midterms being 10%. Final exam is still in play, and I'm gonna hopefully continue to have some conversations on the validity of final exams. But for right now, for this year and next year, they are still in play. The library is constantly changing, and it's becoming more of a media center and a kind of a hub of the school. I know you had a chance to see the change in language on the library. And then the deans did a really nice job of changing over the handbook in regards to the dress code. This is always one. And I think they did a nice job of making it a little more neutral. There were certain parties that felt it was targeting one sex versus the other. And so I think they softened that up to be a little more politically correct for the times that we're in. So I appreciate their work on that. Certainly, we're all here to answer any questions that you may have, and would love to hear any questions or concerns.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Palladino? Mike?
Just want to say, good work. I know there's a lot of work that goes into this. I want to welcome Ms. Deneen and Ms. Tonelli. It's been a while since I've seen you both, and it's good to see you guys. So about the midterm, did you have any pushback from students? Do they want to keep that?
We didn't really have a lot of pushback. The student advisory committee really supported it, especially under the COVID situation. It can be very stressful for students during that time. I know there's the benefit of half days, but there's a tremendous amount of stress placed on the students when you're taking an exam that's worth 10% of your final grade. So when you're doing that at the midway point and at the ending point, it's pretty stressful to the students. And again, I know they like the reprieve of being able to go home early and study, but there was no one that I'm aware of through any of the processes that we've had in place that felt it wasn't a great idea.
So normally I would be questioning whether or not we're reducing rigor here, but I know you're a big fan of rigor yourself, and I trust you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Kevin?
Yeah, regarding the library, Scott, I know you said it doesn't open till 7:30, which makes sense, and students can't come until 7:30. What time does it close on a daily basis?
So it officially closes at 2:50 on most days, but honestly, I go down there after 3 and she's still in there. As we get back to having more students in the building, I would anticipate it would stay open even longer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I can't see everybody. I love what you did in the handbook. I love what you've done with the library. I got to see that. And I love, you made it sound like such a great place to go in the it is a great place to go, but I love the description that you put in the handbook. So, and my other question was about the change in the weight of the terms, but you answered that. So I'm assuming midterms used to be 10% and
Correct.
finals were 10%. Okay. So the dress code, I just have a couple of questions. My first question is, it's different than the district handbook. So is there a reason for that?
I think it's always been a little different than the district handbook as far
Has
as,
it?
yes.
Would that ever create a problem?
I can't think of a problem that it would create. Honestly, it's been a nice guiding document for us to try and be consistent and fair. The deans can certainly speak to that maybe a little bit more because it's more in their wheelhouse as far as in a traditional school year. It seems to be an issue more in September and June as the weather is a little bit warmer. Those are usually when we have, they call it, the kids say you got dress coded. It's those are the times. And What's funny, and the deans can, please, if you want to ask them any questions, they can speak to this. But what's funny is the kids always know when they're pushing the envelope. Like, for instance, a kid may have a shirt that might be inappropriate. Maybe it has something, on the front of it that you shouldn't be wearing in school. It's distracting. And you go up to the kid and say, what you need to say. And they go, oh, no problem. I have a sweatshirt in my bag. Because they didn't walk out of the house wearing that T-shirt in front of mom, dad, or guardian, whoever it may be. They put that on, put the sweatshirt on, walked out of the house. Parents, I'm sure gave them the quick once over, said they're fine. And it's kind of funny how that works. Most of the time, that's the case.
Okay. So I do have some questions about what was taken out, and certainly this is a good chance for the deans to chime in. I'd first just like to welcome them, and maybe they'll come on and say who they are, so anyone who's watching who doesn't know who they are will know.
Hi, I'm Christine Sinelli. I am one of the deans at the high school.
Thank you.
I'm Charlene Deneen. I am the other dean at the high school.
One of the things we took out, I'm sorry, my voice is still coming back, but some teachers brought it to our attention that our dress code had a little bit of a cultural and gender bias in it. And when I looked at it, I could see what they were talking about. A lot of it was talking about cleavage and other things that wouldn't technically adhere to all genders. And so we tried to make it as neutral as possible. And a couple of the things we took out had to do with like wearing leggings and stuff like that. That is pretty much a standard of dress now for so many kids. It talked about lycra spandex. Some of the other things it said was picks and different other things for the hair that we found to be very culturally biased, that we wanted to take out and make it as, like we said, as equal as possible.
Okay. So some of the things, like one of the sentences now that's still in the district policy but isn't in the high school anymore has to do with what you're talking, and I appreciate what you're saying, like that, what the work that you did to do this, but something like tank tops, undergarments, so those words are not in the dress code anymore at the high school. Is that going to create a problem for you? Like, you two are the ones, I'm sure, that do a lot of the enforcing of the dress code.
We have found that tank tops tend to be something that a lot of the kids wear for comfort in the hotter months. And honestly, coming from my side, shoulders, I don't want to make people self-conscious about their shoulders. Like, shoulders are shoulders. And that's kind of where I'm coming from, but I'll let Charlene talk as well.
Yeah, it seems like some of the things that were in there that we wanted to take out were very much targeted towards women, and that shoulders were somehow offensive, and just because when we think of the dress code, it's things that are going to be disruptive to the learning environment. Mm-hmm. And we just felt that it wasn't appropriate any longer in this day and age to make girls feel like their shoulders are some type of distraction to the educational process. It gets hot in our building. There's not AC, and it can be 90 degrees sometimes in those classrooms, and we just felt like it was targeting women because the style and the type of clothes that is you see in the workplace, we just didn't feel like we should be strict on that in our educational setting when that style of dress is appropriate in most workplaces to some extent. So we just wanted to kind of modernize the dress code a little bit.
I think the one nice thing, Joyce, is that the beauty of this process is we're always refining it. And if we got in a position where after a year we felt like kids were taking advantage of something, we would address it just like we're addressing it now. Again, we didn't have a really good litmus test of discipline this year, which has been great because of obviously the COVID situation. But if it's an issue, you'll see something back on the dress code next year. I can assure you the deans keep copious notes on all of the discipline issues that they deal with. And we all have a similar process for identifying deficiencies in anything in the handbook, in this case, the dress code.
Mhm. No, and I certainly appreciate the work that was done, like you said, to modernize the dress code. I guess, I don't know. I mean, what do I know? But the part about taking out no undergarments of any kind will be visible, that, I don't know. I don't see the problem with that. But you guys do it every day, so you know better than I do.
I think it was more of an issue, like it was more socially accepted to show your underwear, and have your pants down low. It's really not as much of an issue anymore as it was maybe 10 or 15 years ago.
Well, thank God for that.
I agree. I always offer a belt for the students if they need it, and then lo and behold, they would have the belt on. It just wasn't tight.
Okay. So, but as far as enforcement, I guess I'll just go back to the fact that the district handbook is different. So I guess my question is just with enforcement, but you don't think that that's a problem?
No, it's never been a problem. It's always been, like there's, I'm sure, dress code issues at the elementary school that are a little different than the high school. And it's always been a little bit different so that it's appropriate for the grade level that you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. There are just a couple of those that under the new section where we just need to add the words "not permitted" or "are not permitted."
I think Ms. Sinelli, I think you already dealt with that, correct?
I did. I took care of that today. One other thing I did want to say is under FE, we definitely have also left in that pants are to be at the waist and not down below that. So we did keep that in as well.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. And again, thank you. I mean, you're the ones that are dealing with this every day. So certainly appreciate your efforts on this. I do have another question. So Scott would always like to remind me about the IDs and, the conversations that we had about those. So how has that translated this year? It's
Go ahead. Fantastic.
It is. Okay.
I met with a student today, and we were talking about discipline, and she had been in school since second grade, and the only two issues that she had on her discipline were IDs, and she's a phenomenal kid. I agree with Christine. It's been great, especially under these circumstances, to not have your first conversation with every kid in the high school with, put your ID on right, or where's your ID, or why is it not showing in the front? It's been really refreshing to be able to have a positive conversation every time you see a student versus something with a kind of a negative angle.
Does the staff still wear IDs?
Yes, that's district policy. They do wear, everyone has to wear an ID, school ID.
Okay.
I had mine on. You didn't see it when we took the tour?
Sorry, I didn't remember. Maybe I'm just so used to seeing you all with it on, it just doesn't register. Yeah. And I'm sorry, I just have one more question about the handbook. And one of the other handbooks, I noticed that it talks about the calls that are made for the snow days or for no school for whatever reason. But in the high school, did I not see that, or did I miss it?
It's in there. I can find it for you in a second, but it's basically the same, it talks about the channels that they can check, not to call the police department, and it's in there.
No, you don't have to find it. I trust you. You certainly don't.
I'll take a snapshot of it for you.
Yeah. Okay. All
We'll get
right.
before the night's over.
Okay. April, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to really, give you guys a lot of kudos. I know that going through the handbook and making sure that you guys are, both, gender neutral and culturally accepting, and taking all of those differences and how the times have changed into consideration when working with the dress code, I think is huge to just the community and the amount of acceptance that Wareham has as a whole. I've witnessed even when subbing at the middle school, just the amount of acceptance of students and allowing them to be themselves and feel comfortable being themselves while still, obviously there are always going to be kids that want to push the envelope, like you mentioned, but I think that, you guys recognizing that, it's an important part of, them figuring out who they are and just giving them, the guidelines that are more neutral and less geared towards, as Miss Nellie, Miss Deneen mentioned, towards women. And I think that that is unbelievable that you guys have acknowledged that and are working towards making that less stigmatic for those girls and making it a conversation. And I think it's a conversation that continually needs to be happening. And I really applaud you guys for taking that step and for putting that in into the handbook and including it in the dress code.
Thank you, April. I love what you just said, because it encapsulates what Wareham High School is all about. And that's the one thing I can honestly say that has never changed during the time that I first started teaching there till now. Our students are so accepting of every student, no matter what their disability is, their ethnicity, you name it, everyone gets accepted. It's amazing. And I don't think we can take credit for the culture. It's the students that create that culture. The staff certainly supports it. But honestly, it's been in place since day one that I walked through that door, and it is so impressive. And we can't really take any credit for it. It's all the students.
All right, if no one else has any questions, we'll move on to a vote on the high school handbook. Oh, Mike, go ahead.
I just wanted to recognize that, Ms. Palladino, that you've come a long way. I mean, I remember with this year, not the yearbook, the handbook. I remember on my first, the first year of this term, I believe it was, that you came before the school committee and I made a motion to approve it, and you couldn't even get a second. And Miss Bakayaki wouldn't even second it, and here she is giving it high praise, and seems like she's a little upset that everyone's not wearing turtlenecks or something. But anyway, you've come a long way, and it shows.
We've got a great team at the high school, and certainly you met the deans. Great administrative team. Our librarian, who's responsible for the library piece, Jess Linehan. I appreciate that, Mr. Flaherty. Thank you.
Okay, could we have a motion to approve the handbook?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Mike,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
April,
Yes.
and myself, yes, 400.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the middle school handbook.
Hello. I want to thank my school council and administrative team for reviewing the handbook. We made very minimal changes. The only change, oh, I'm sorry. Was I not next?
Oh, no, you were.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I saw elementary go up. Sorry. So the changes we made just really were to update for the 2021-2022. We made some edits. Power announcement is now Swift Reach. The terms were updated. Dates were updated. On page 21, we added appropriate footwear must be worn at all times. We're just looking for non-slippers. On page 37, we updated the list of clubs. Page 42 added vaping devices of any kind for smoking devices. And on page 44 added the tampering, the night lock devices that we have in all classrooms. That's all I have. Questions, concerns?
All right. Does anyone have any questions?
I do.
April, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't see you right away.
That's okay. I was just curious that having to add the tampering with night lock devices to the handbook, is this an issue that has been ongoing at the middle school, or is this just more of a precautionary looking to hopefully prevent from ever happening situation?
We have no issues at all. but we do see that it could be a temptation for some students.
Okay, thank you.
Has not happened yet.
Good.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, if there are no questions, then I'll take a motion to approve the middle school handbook.
So moved.
Second,
Okay, roll call, Kevin,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
April,
yes.
and myself, yes. So 400. Thank you. We'll move on to the elementary handbook.
Hey everyone, so I'm Joan Siemens and Bethany Chandler and I have collaborated on the handbook. We also want to thank both of our school councils who looked at this separately, and then we had a combined school council meeting that went through some of the changes. Of course, our admin team also contributed to this, and the staff had the opportunity to give any input. The handbook I sent to you, I also highlighted the changes in it so it'd be easier to see. A lot of ours also are housekeeping things. As you go through elementary PTA on page 2, it's no longer just one, the elementary, it's one PTA, so we took that out. We added the link for the new elementary school on page 3 if people wanted to continue to look at that. Page 6, the residency policy was updated, so we did that. We added the time for the new elementary school on page 10 that you see there as far as tardiness. On page 14, we added, this is what we would propose because we know this is a policy, but if we do have to close that new school for some reason, could be something in the neighborhood, who knows? We know that we would have to split up the grade levels. 1,020 students would be too many students trying to go into the middle school or the high school. So we would split it by grade level. And this is what we would have to propose to the policy review committee. But I at least wanted to put it in there because we also have to plan for the new building for this handbook as well. When you look at page 16, it was just a date change we had to update. On page 19, we added or designee after the word principal, just in the event that the principal is out of the building or not in that particular day. Page 20, we did the same thing, adding that particular word. When you go through a handbook and you edit, there's always font changes and things that pop up that you take care of at the end for your final print. So page 29, no matter what I did, I couldn't delete it at that time. It will be deleted though, don't worry. On page 30, there was a name change. So we updated the policy name. And I also noticed a couple of the pages, I don't know how they duplicated, but they did. So just another date update on the incident reporting. And of course, the names and sessions and things like that. So that's basically it for the elementary. Like I said, it was just mainly housekeeping things.
Okay, does anyone have any questions on the elementary handbook?
Just a quick note, when I'm reviewing the version of it that was sent over in our packet, I know that you very well listed page numbers, but every page is 42 on my copy. So I was having a hard time following. So I just want to make sure that that the numbers will be correct going forward, because literally every page on mine says page 42.
So on one of the earlier ones, I noticed it said page 4, but then I corrected that. So I thought the new one that was sent out was better, except for pages 40, 41, 42 that seemed to repeat towards the end. But again, this is just draft. It was our editing version. So yes, absolutely.
Okay.
It will be fixed.
I thought it was taunting me because that's how old I'll be on Tuesday.
Well, happy early birthday.
Oh, thank you. I was like, I'm seeing 42s everywhere. Thank you.
Anyone else? How do you distribute the handbook now? So it's online, it's on the website. Do you still distribute a hard copy to each student?
No, we do not. We give out the website link to families, and we always have like hard copies in case somebody does not have access to a computer. We've been doing that for a couple years now.
That's great. That's great.
Do they still have to turn in the sheet though, acknowledging that their handbook has been read or acknowledged
Yes.
per each student family? Okay.
Yeah, and we had to do that electronically this year. All of our forms went home electronically because with COVID, we didn't want any paperwork coming in and then the secretaries having to touch various things. So yeah, it still went home.
And did that work so well that you might do it again just to cut down on the paper?
Yes, yes.
Good. Good. Okay, if no one else has any questions, I'll ask for a motion to approve this handbook.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Kevin,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
April,
Yes.
and myself. Yes. 400. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So we'll move on to the next item, which is the report of the superintendent.
Can you see my screen or am I?
Not right now.
Okay, let me find it.
I can see you, but not your shared screen.
Oh,
Now we can see it.
okay, good. Okay. Well, to start off, I certainly would like to thank Ocean State Job Lot for their donation of $24,000 in PPE supplies. And also we had a donation by Jennifer Gavoni for gently used equipment, and it's listed what she donated. So I would ask the committee to please acknowledge and vote to accept the following two gifts.
Move to accept.
Second. That's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, I was waiting for a discussion, but that is amazing.
Very generous. Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Kevin,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
April,
Yes.
and myself, yes. So 400.
Thank you very much. Next, I would ask for you to approve the payroll warrant and the bill warrants that were listed in your packet.
Is there a motion to approve?
So
So
moved. Second.
Okay, roll call. April,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
and myself, yes. 400.
Thank you. Okay, next, I had just talked about this at the March 25th meeting. And given the situation that we're in this year, we've really tried to limit the number of people coming in and out of our buildings. And because of this, bringing in subs for a day-to-day basis is rather difficult for us because we want to limit the accessibility to both our staff and to our students. So we've hired permanent subs that come in every day. But because of that, we have a limited number. We also have a number of staff who have not used their personal days this year. So I would ask that the committee consider a personal day buyback for the WEA, which would be Unit A, B, C, and D. And in there, you see the amounts that a day would be worth. For Unit A, they could turn in a personal day that's been unused and receive $175. As well, Unit B could for the same amount of $175. Unit C, if they would choose to turn in a day, and Unit D, it would be both $90. There would be another option which any of the units could choose, and that would be to exchange a personal day for classroom supplies. And the way that would work would be they would turn in the day, would receive a voucher for the amount that we've designated, And then either this year or next year, they could provide us with the items that they would like to order for their classroom or for students in the given amount, and we would then order them. So this is a one-time offer. And if you would so choose, then we have an MOA, which I had sent to you. It would be signed and the WEA would be signed, and we would put this into effect. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer it. If not, I would ask for a vote.
Does anyone have any questions?
I would, I'm sorry, I have,
Right now for Unit A.
I'm sorry.
What does it cost? What does a sub get per day right now for Unit A?
We just raised it. I believe it was 100 and
120 maybe, or something?
I think it's
so.
I think it's 118, Kim.
Okay, 118. The other piece that I would share with you, this is not reflective of what their day, what they would make per day. This is about 1/10 of what they would make, and we averaged it. And so, you know, depending on where you're at on the scale, you could receive, you know, $200, $300, $400. And what we did is we averaged this cost, and they liked the fact that everyone would receive one amount.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, if not, then I'll ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Kevin,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
April,
Yes.
and myself, yes, 400.
Thank you very much. It certainly does help us keep our teachers in front of our students, and then the staff will not lose their days. All right, so next I would just like to briefly share with you our return to school with the elementary. The third grade, they have 132 people in person and 40 are remote. The fourth grade, 98 in person and 39 remote. Interestingly, in third grade, we had 22 students switch from remote to in person, and in grade 4, 19. We've also had 6 people, students return who were homeschooled and returned in person. And I know Mrs. Siemens here, and she's, you know, has some anecdotal comments to add from students and from staff, because it has just been a joyful experience to walk through the building and see people. So Mrs. Siemens, what would you care to share?
So I've been asking students this week how it's been to be back in school. Several of them love the fact that it's now in person. Their teaching is more exciting, they said. You know, their learning is more exciting because it's not by Zoom. One student said there's no more Zoom glitches. They're very excited to see their friends because they never saw the opposite cohort of students. So that made them happy. They're very happy to have lunch in the cafeteria. They're glad they don't have to keep eating sandwiches because they're trying to make some hot dishes for them to have. And they're excited to see their teachers in live person. So those were a few more things that I got today. And one last student said, when I asked, what do you like about being back to school? He said, everything. So it's been great. They really love being back.
That's awesome.
That's so awesome.
Mhm.
Okay, so for Deaconess, we have Mrs. Chandler with us. I believe she's still here.
I'm here.
We have 463 students. So here are the numbers: preschool 59, kindergarten 141, grade 1 143, and grade 2 119. In remote, we have 5 in preschool, in kindergarten 24, in first grade 41, and in second grade we have 26. And we've had 3 students from being homeschool return. And so Mrs. Chandler, I know there's been a lot of adventure and activity and excitement at Deaconess as well. So if you could just share some information with us, that'd be wonderful.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, so 463 students are back. So that's a pretty big population, full of energy and enthusiasm. We are so excited. The students are so happy to be back and sharing time with one another. For so long, they were separated by 2 cohorts, and now again, they're together. I also have 3 remote teachers who have come back in person with their class. So it's super, super fun. One time we said, oh, we can't mute a child. We could mute them on the computer, but now we just talk all day. And we have so much fun. And our students are super excited to be back. And the energy level is very high at Deaconess School. Yeah, that's all. We have lunch going on, 5 lunches going on, both in the cafeteria and the gymnasium. Oh, and we have some pictures here to show too.
Yes, this is a
Just a peek.
kindergarten classroom, right?
Yes, this is kindergarten, Miss Pyer's room. Grade 2 on the right, Miss Jean, and just our cafeteria workers working, and just so you can kind of see how our setup is in the cafeteria.
Okay.
Well, I'm looking forward to visiting next week.
On the 13th, yes.
Me too.
I've unfortunately had to work during the visit, so I'm sad that I won't make it.
I haven't replied yet, but I do plan on making that.
I was very excited to drive past Deaconess on my way, home from work today to see a whole bunch of kids outside with recess, and it was just really heartwarming to see them all. They all looked so, you could just see the energy from the road. How
Yeah.
they be in their little, they were in small groups, but you could just see them playing, running around. Just, it was, kids' energy is just so fascinating to watch, and you could just see how excited they were to be outside and be with their friends from driving past the school. So it was pretty awesome to see.
Thank you. We're having fun.
And I just want to, there's been so much work with the teachers, with our administrators about making sure that our students are following protocols, the mask breaks, making sure that we keep everybody as safe as possible. And, I've been in and out of buildings walking down the halls, and I haven't really been paying too much attention to where I'm walking. And I would see kids kind of look at me and give me kind of that look of, what are you doing? And I happened to look down and I was on the wrong side, and they certainly knew it. So thank you for all of the work. It's paying off, and we're just so happy and grateful to have our students back. So
I think Mr. Flaherty has his hand up.
Oh, Mike, go ahead.
And so how, this is a question for anybody, any principal or superintendent. How are the lunches and the transportation going?
I can answer because we have lunch if you'd like. They're going great. I have students in the cafeteria and I have students in the library because we have both cohorts in now. So there's distance. We have a very strict routine. I do cafeteria duty every day where they're told when they can take off their mask, when they eat, we give them a warning. They're told when to put the mask back on, how they throw the trash away, re-sanitize their hands. So, but I love being able to see them smiling when the masks are off, and they just like having lunch in the cafeteria.
And are they as excited to have school food?
Yes, because it's warm. They're getting chicken patties and hamburgers and hot dogs. It's not just
Bosco sticks
sandwiches.
today.
Yeah.
They even had Bosco sticks today. So yeah, we're really going out on adventures now. And it's really a cafe setting. It's really quite nice in the cafeteria and in the gymnasium. I know it sounds strange, but to see it and experience it is pretty cool because it's so much quieter. For the first time in many, many years, Mr. Santos does not have his earplugs in doing duty. And because it's just a quieter setting, there's less students, but they're able to talk with one another and socialize and enjoy each other's company. And I enjoy theirs.
And looking at the reports, do I understand? Do I remember correctly? The people could have stayed remote if they wanted to. They chose to come back. Correctly, everyone that's back chose to came back.
Yes.
Yes.
Correct.
And so they did so in overwhelming numbers, and they're very excited. But I'd love to hear are the teachers are excited, as excited to be back as well.
Well, we can't speak for the teachers, but we certainly have not had anyone complaining and telling us they really like being at home. I think they're just so happy to see their students.
Okay, yeah, no, I would think so. Yeah, and that's great. Thank you.
April?
So I just also wanted to ask one quick question about I see that the tent is back in front of Deacon's.
Mhm.
I know that in the fall, when things were mostly remote, you guys were using that sort of as like is that more for like a mask break space, or is that for outdoor eating? What is your plan for that area for the spring?
It's open, I think, for any opportunity, April. I know that I have some kindergarten classes out there. I know that Mr. Paling uses it for power classes at times. Sometimes we use it for having parent conferences at times. So we use it for a variety of reasons.
Fantastic. And that was donated, if I'm not correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's awesome. And my other thing is just to thank everybody for, all the hard work you guys have put in to make sure that that this is happening and that the kids are, engaged and staying engaged. I know this has been a roller coaster of a year, the last 2 school years, but a year in general for both, the kids, the teachers, the staff, the administrators, the state. I mean, everybody has, but we've really, I feel like, stepped up in our district and have done or tried to do what's best for the majority and putting the kids ahead of everything and the health and safety of everyone above everything else. So I just really want to give all the teachers and all of the people that put all of this together, the administration, everyone, for making this seamless. It just seems seamless from the outside. I know that there's bumps. I know that there's always going to be people who aren't necessarily thrilled with any decision, regardless of what we do. But I think that you guys have always done your best to put the kids first through all of this. And I really applaud everybody's work for that.
Thank you.
Okay. So we're very happy to bring this to you, that the middle school will be returning per DESI on April 26th. As well, we would ask the committee to vote to return the high school to in-person learning 5 days a week on April 26th. The reason why we're asking for a vote is the Department of Ed has not set a date for the high school to return. However, for us to run transportation and continue to operate, we really do need our high school students back. We feel that with our safety measures, with everything we have in place, that it will be successful, and we look forward to welcoming our high school back. I would ask for you to please vote for the high school students to return on April 26th.
So moved.
As a parent of a high school student, I second emphatically.
Yes, I just want to say, I mean, you explained why we're voting on this and, why you're doing this, but I'd like to think that we'd be doing this anyway, that this is really the best thing. I know that this is what you would be doing anyway. So we'll do a roll call vote. Mike,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
April,
Oh, yes.
and myself, yes. 400.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And finally, I just want to give you some updates and where we're going with summer programming, etc. But first, I would like to thank a community member, Michelle Fitzgerald, for her help. Earlier this month, I had reached out and to ask her if she would help our staff secure vaccine appointments, and she graciously said yes. And so I'm not sure if she knew what she was getting into, but we had a number of staff who then emailed her and shared information, and she was able to secure vaccine appointments for them. And we're just very grateful for her help and for her willingness to work with our staff. So thank you very much. Moving into, we're in a very, very unique situation. And quite honestly, I wasn't sure in my career that I would ever see this come back, where we really didn't have a lot of money issues. And the reason why we don't is because of the ESSER grants that have been coming to us from the government. And because of that, we're really able to look at what do our students need that we would like to provide that we haven't been able to provide because of just providing the essentials. And we have, worked with our administrators. We've listened to what the needs and how we will continue to drive the district forward. And because of that, we've been able to post for some positions that we would not have been able to do so if we were not receiving some funds. And what I would also like to share is these funds will be spread out over the next 4 years. So it's not like they're going to happen in 1 year and disappear. So as long as we use good fiscal judgment, we'll be able to keep the positions, grow them, and really integrate them into the life and the community in Wareham. And so we're looking for a STEAM teacher that will be at the new building. And there's a beautiful room. There's been a room designed because that was always a hope. And now we're going to be able to fill it. We are looking for an assistant principal that will serve, quote, as a director of preschool. We have a technology network specialist that will be posted. We had a network specialist in the past. What we did last year is we went to a contract service, and now we're going to be bringing this position back to us for about the same cost. So that's really not an increase to anything. We will be adding some special education paras and 2 special ed teachers at the high school. We will be looking, and we're really watching the numbers for grade 4, because if they come up like we anticipate, we're going to be adding a grade 4 teacher. And finally, we're going to look to add a director of facilities. And the reason why we're doing this, we have so many projects going on in the district. We have the roofing at the portables at the high school being replaced. We have stairs being replaced at the high school, the rubber backing and the skidding. We have painting going on at the high school and at the middle school. We have flooring going in at the middle school. We have bleachers going in, the gyms being painted. We have some work that's going to be done at the Boys and Girls Club because it certainly needs it, and we've not been able to address that during the past several years. So we're getting ready to have a new roof put on the Boys and Girls Club because there are some leaks. That building is used with our high school and with our athletic program. And we're also painting it, and we will be working on the interior. We have a track project that will be kicking off fairly soon. We have bids out, and they're coming in, I think, the week of April vacation. And we hope to have that project going this summer. And then MSBA just opened a new window for repair projects. And once again, we have every intention of putting in to have the middle school roof replaced and our high school boilers. This is not all of the projects that are going on in the district, just a few. We also hired an HVAC person that will be coming on board May 1. And the reason why we did that is, we're working to get all our HVAC up to where it needs to be in all our buildings. But we're also bringing on an elementary building that is so high tech generated with the HVAC that we really need a specialist to make sure that we do and we are able to maintain and keep the building running as efficiently as possible. So those are just some of the projects and how they connect with the posting. So if you have questions, I'd be happy to answer them about either one.
Mike, go ahead. You might be muted, Mike. Yep.
I'm usually pretty good at that. All right. This kind of segues into the next item, I think. So I'll kind of ask it now. It's great that we can add all these positions and stuff, but I know we had some concerns with opening the new building if we were going to have enough money for miscellaneous things, regarding the building. Are we all set there?
Yes, actually. You mean as far as with the town money that we're using to build?
Yeah, town, but I mean, I remember you had some concerns. It might have been things that just weren't covered by MSBA that we had to really worry about. I forget exactly what those were. I think maybe some furniture or something. But I mean, are we going to be all set? And now that we have this money, I mean, I'd like to make sure that building's all set before we start hiring all sorts of new positions.
Right. Yes, it is all set. And actually, we're in very good shape. And one of the biggest reasons is we're going to be making the purchases with technology out of district funds. In MSBA, in the project money, you can make technology purchases for buildings. There are a couple of issues with that. Number one, the preschool furniture and supplies are not covered under MSBA in that funding. So anything that we would purchase for that, it really comes out of the E&D money that we would have to use to buy the furniture for the rest of the building, and it would lower it. So we couldn't get as high a quality of furniture because we had to save money back for the preschool. But because of the position that we're in, we're going to be making technology purchases from district funds. And that will free up the money that was kind of earmarked in with the building funds that can be put back into the furniture. And so we do not, we're in good shape.
Okay. And I love to hear that, we're adding a STEAM teacher and a bunch of paraprofessionals, and that's great. I have to wince a little when I hear we're going to add a new director position for facilities. I mean, is that really necessary? Is that something the business manager could handle? Or I thought the transportation manager was doing some of that as well, or?
Yeah, well, yes, we all wince, but we also need to have eyes on all of our projects. And we are now going to get our buildings up to where they need to be, up to repairs, projects. And now we need to make sure that we're doing preventative maintenance. And quite honestly, the business manager does not have time. The transportation director just doesn't have time to do this. And if we're going to keep these in the shape they need to be, we have simply need to have eyes on the buildings.
Okay, all right. And we're looking to hire a full-time HVAC person as well?
Yes, we are. Because
And
I'm sorry,
is
go
there,
ahead.
is there any sharing that could be done with the town on that? Could it be used by the town people too?
Oh, yes, we would love to share with the town, our HVAC person, because if that happens, we're going to, it's kind of the in-kind cost.
Yes.
And yes, and so we have made that offer, and we certainly hope they take us up on it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thanks, Mike. April?
So I know you mentioned some upgrades and some kind of cleaning up being done to the old Boys and Girls Club building that resides on the property. My question is, with the current Boys and Girls Club being housed at the Hammond School, is there any possible future renaming or no longer call it? It gets confusing, I think, for because some families utilize the Boys and Girls Club program that's now at the Hammond School and Onset, and when we refer to having situations or having weightlifting at the Boys and Girls Club that hasn't been operational as a Boys and Girls Club in several years now, I think it can get a little confusing. So I didn't know if there was any way of kind of working in referencing that building as either, the athletic, annex or something to that effect. Where is it, especially on, as a parent of a student athlete, when, they say right on the paper, oh, it's at the Boys and Girls Club, and it could lead to confusion with people showing up at the actual Boys and Girls Club. So now that there's, some kind of revamping of the building going on, I'm wondering if there's a way that in future references we can kind of start reclaiming it as a school building instead of referencing it as the former club building.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I certainly will explore that, because you're right. It's the old Boys and Girls Club. And when you say that, people kind of look at you and say, well, where is that? So I think that would be very helpful.
Great, thank you.
So on the subject of that building, I've asked you this question before. Is there some type of agreement with the town? So that right now, is that a building that's in the control of the school or the town?
Well, technically, it is in control of the town, but the school pays all expenses. And so I've had a conversation with the town administrator, and we're going to make sure that we have something drawn up that there's no question about who has the ownership.
I'd love to see that happen. Will that be some type of a lease that the school from the town? What will that look like?
Well, I'm not exactly sure. I certainly do not want to pay them anything for leasing it.
Mhm.
I would hope that they would just feel generous and let us have the building.
Mhm. Okay. Well, I'm excited about the improvements being made to it, just because it's part of the campus of the schools, and this will make it fit in better. Yeah.
Right. And another area that we're in the process of getting some information would be the fields and grounds. If you have ever seen all of their trailers and storage area behind the Spillane Field, that they're in desperate need. So we're looking at what we could do there. At one point we thought we could go in with the gateman, but their project is several years out, and we really do need to get something for our fields and grounds guys to help preserve our equipment.
Okay. Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, and that segues into a question I was going to have about the gatemen. Are they committed? Are they planning a season? Are they using Spillane Field?
I have not heard if there's a season this year. What I do know is we are putting a new scoreboard in, and for the Spillane Field, the gateman, and I've seen the plans, the drawings, and it's going to be an extremely nice scoreboard. And the gatemen are paying certainly a significant portion of having that done.
That's great. Is there going to be a jumbotron?
Well, I think it's going to be, I'm not sure a jumbotron, but it's going to be a nice one.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you.
And the high school and events on Spillane Field will have access to that?
Yes, they will as well. We felt like we needed to upgrade our scoreboards. So we've upgraded the softball scoreboard. We've upgraded the gym scoreboard. So once people come back in and our athletic contest are going, I think everybody's going to be very impressed by the condition of our facilities.
Great. April, your hand was up. Was it up again or was it? I'm
Yeah,
not-
it's up again.
Okay.
One,
I didn't mean it. I didn't mean that in a bad
no,
way. I didn't know
no,
if you
that-
were taking it down.
I know what you meant. So I believe I thought I read something the end of March that the Cape Cod Baseball League is definitely looking for a season to start somewhere in mid-June. So I just remembered reading that recently. But my other question was the building adjacent to the old Boys and Girls Club, the former co-op building. Are we still utilizing that building, or what is that building being used for currently now that the co-op or the past program is at the multi-service center?
Well, that building right now is storage, and we've looked to bring groups in. We've just not been able to come up with something that would work well.
Like to lease the building to, or okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. I was just curious with all the work around that area, if that was, what considerations were being made for that building as well.
Yeah.
Right. Kevin, I feel like we've been skipping over you. Do you have any questions?
No, I agree with all of the moves that are being made at the moment, so. I think
Okay.
we're good.
Mike, did you have something else?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, since we're on the superintendent report, have you heard anything about town meeting, if they're gonna move that date at all, and if so, what they may change it to?
I believe the town meeting, the last I heard, was going to be May 8th. I believe, is that a Saturday?
And any rumblings if they're gonna keep that date or not, or?
From everything I've heard, that's the date. I haven't heard that it's going to be moved.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right, thank you.
okay.
I just had
Okay.
one other question. You mentioned a director of preschool. So there is a director of the preschool right now. Is that true?
No, there's not. We have a lead teacher. We have a department head that oversees. And so what we're really finding, we're having a number of students coming in. We're at 6 classrooms. And we really are watching the numbers there. We need to make a lot of home visits. There's a lot of testing going on, and we're coming up for an accreditation in the near future. And so we just need some additional support there. We anticipate that once we move into our new building, the numbers could increase because what we're seeing in the community, we're having a number of students who are ready to come into preschool. And so we're just trying to set ourselves so we are ready to handle the numbers that we receive.
So pre-COVID, would you normally have had a waiting list for preschool?
You mean students that are mandated in or
No,
that
I
we're
mean-
mandated to take?
No, so I guess it would be the ones who you aren't mandated to take. Would you have an excess of those students? Were you able to take in everyone who wanted to be in the preschool?
Yes, right now, I believe that we have been able to.
Okay. And do you have more preschool classrooms in the new school or is it the same?
It's the same.
Okay.
And that was something that we really had significant discussions with MSBA on. We wanted to expand and they just would not let us do that. We do have 11 kindergarten classes, quote, kindergarten, and we know that we can pull one of those kindergarten classes into preschool because we currently have 10 kindergarten and we anticipate that we'll probably stay at 10.
Mhm.
So room-wise, we have some space.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
I just have one more thing. I just want to share some of the summer programming that we have planned for. Between CARE and our summer programs with the schools, it's going to be a very, very, very busy summer. We anticipate that we're going to be having CARE K through 2 at Deaconess and Boost K through 3 at Deaconess. And the CARE is our traditional care where we work with the academics and then they have an activity later on in the day. Our Boost will be working with students who need that extra help. At the middle school, we will have CARE. We will have the Accelerated Academy and those working with students who need that extra help. And then we have the ESY with our special ed students that will need the extra help. At the high school, we will have the Accelerated Academy. Again, students needing extra help. We will have the SAIL that is in coordination with the CARE only for high school students. And then we will have the 5th quarter. We have partnerships already with Buzzards Bay Coalition and New Bedford Workforce. And we're looking at called a Blue Initiative, which is a partnership with Mass Maritime, UMass Dartmouth, and Raytheon. So we have a number of things in the work for our summer students. We expect it to be an incredibly busy summer. And today at our administrative meeting, I could see our building principals starting to have a little bit of heart palpitations when we talked about the number of classrooms that would be in use during the summer because it's going to be such a busy place. So, we will be getting this information out, and certainly some very exciting things are happening in our district. So thank you very much. And that will complete my report.
Well, that's really great news. I know that Jane Fondulis is on here. I don't know if she wants the opportunity to speak about any of about the CARE program and the summer program. Maybe she doesn't.
Yeah, Jane's on here. She's quite the number of grants that she's been receiving lately and writing, it's just incredible. And so it just speaks to her dedication to students. So we're very grateful for all of the work that she's doing.
Well, I look forward to hearing more about that as the summer gets closer.
Okay.
Which is apparently happening very quickly. So
it is, isn't it? Yes.
All right, thank you. So we will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the report of the school committee. The first item under that is elementary school building update. We haven't had a building committee meeting since our last meeting, and I don't really want to put you on the spot, Dr. Shaverhood, but I know that you and Mrs. Chandler and Mrs. Siemens have been working hard on different pieces at the new building. Do you want to talk about any of that?
Sure, I'd be happy to. If you have an opportunity to see the videos that are being put out or just look at the pictures, it's incredible. That's what's starting to happen in that building. The terrazzo floor is poured, they're buffing it. It's beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. I finished with keying meetings, so now everything is keyed, and there's certainly layers of security throughout the building. We've walked the building and we've assigned rooms to our teachers. I spent a number of hours this week reviewing the technology that will be going in each room and where things need to be placed. So we are in the final stages of putting things together. Colors it's breathtaking. And I know Joan and Bethany are here, and they walked the building with me last week, and it's amazing.
Joan, do you want to share?
Each time we go in, there's so much more work that is done. But this last visit, in our minds, we had placed people, on the map, the paper maps we had, and we wanted to look at spaces. So we were able to do that. So it's very exciting to actually see it in person. We were able to get some really large maps that we could hang up in our office as we're doing this. Sorry, that's my dog. And then word started to filter out through the building that Mrs. Siemens has maps in her office. So I was getting a whole lot of visits this week from staff members, and they're like, where am I going to be? So they're getting excited as well.
That's great news. Bethany?
Oh yeah, the school is just absolutely, like Dr. Shaver-Hood said, it's so beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful school. It's such an exciting school. It's bright and colorful, and there's so many beautiful windows, and the view of Wareham from the Innovation Hub is just amazing. It's really, you can almost see all of Wareham up top there. So it's super exciting. We are very excited. Like I said, just like what Principal Siemens said, I'm getting more and more visitors and saying, hey, I've heard you've got maps. So we are excited about that. So I am going to have more visitors in my office so they can really take in the spatial features of the school. But there's nothing like walking through it, because it's just a beautiful design, and the color, Dr. Shaver-Hood, the colors are just amazing.
Well, I know they're doing such a great job of doing the videos once a month, the live videos. So, and every month there's just so many changes. It's just, I know, it's so exciting to see the planning actually becoming reality. Yeah. Mike?
Yeah, so that's great. Now, I always look forward to those pictures and the videos and stuff. I hope as a building committee or school committee or whatever, that we can get another tour in there again. But last time we were there, it was still what, it was coming together, but it was really wide open. But you can still kind of picture it all, But I'm curious. Do we have any idea what we're gonna do when we do move the students out of the middle school with that space that they're occupying now?
Well, from what I understand, there is a waiting list of people that want in that space. I spoke with Tracy about that this week, and the first thing that we are going to do is to make sure that we're not sharing any classrooms with middle school teachers, and they have their space back. After that, then we'll see how many rooms we have left, and then what programs we could possibly put in those areas.
So a waiting list of like who? So other than middle school staff?
Oh yeah, everybody wants over there, Mike.
Like who?
Oh, well, Beyond School Time would like to go over there. The night school would like to go back over there. There's people that would like to have their offices over there.
Okay.
I mean, there's a whole list of
Would it make any sense to move the central office out of the multi-service center in there, or no?
We could possibly look at doing that. I just want to make sure that the middle school teachers have their space back before we claim anything. Yeah.
And like, speaking of waiting lists and stuff like that, I remember when the new Bourne School was made, and they had this incredible view of the water and stuff, and there was like really like feuding over who's going to get those views and those classrooms. Is there any of that going on with the new building? Is there any kind of like competition for like, I want that room, I want this room?
Not yet.
No,
because we took care of that.
I haven't shared any of that information out yet.
one of the things that, with the principals, we decided early on that we were going to be making those room assignments, because we did not want to have people starting to jockey for different rooms. And so they spent a lot of time working on that and really making it fit for their buildings.
Yeah, and you know how that usually goes. Everyone, screams seniority and all that stuff. But I just hope it's done with the way it's supposed to be done. Put it that way.
Well, we were looking at teams, Mr. Flaherty. So I have teachers that are teaching in teams, and as I'm organizing the building, I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about programming and where the assistant principal has to go strategically. So we're keeping all of that in mind.
Good. Okay.
Dr. Schwam, I know you had your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that we plan the school in neighborhoods too. So I think that helps a great deal, right? So there are neighborhoods of grade levels and they're clustered together. So it's not like a teacher could go from one bottom floor and go to another floor, you know, and teach first grade in the fourth grade wing, right? For example. So I think that will be helpful. But I met with Mark just briefly this week. He brought me a picture of the big plans too, because I was feeling a little left out. I just wanted to see what was going on. And it's quite amazing what's happened in Wareham under the circumstances. So we were talking about the fact that we've got this building, this amazing building that's not only significantly under budget, but it's also significantly ahead of schedule. And in times when building supplies and vendors and all of that are skyrocketed right through the roof and saying they can't get to you for whatever reason because of COVID and so on and so forth. The fact that this is happening like it is and the way that it was designed from start to where we are, how it all fell out and where we are today, I think it's going to be a model school for the state because of how it all fell and how it's come out. So we were talking about that. And I think the architects knew that from the beginning almost, because I got a sense of that when I went to meet with them. But that's pretty amazing.
That is amazing.
Our group is big.
That is amazing. And
yeah.
Yeah, and so under budget and ahead of schedule, and even with some upgrades, you know, we upgraded, you know, the cooling and it's, you know, I won't get into
floors everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't get into too much detail, but the security cameras and the bulletproof glass, tactically placed and stuff. I mean, this some good stuff, you know.
Big group of people all getting together, making it happen from
awesome.
all over the place, from all over the different areas of Wareham. And it's just to think about how the beginning 3 years ago, where we are, or 4 years ago, whenever it started, and where we are now, and our leadership through that. You know, the direction and the stay with it and the just tenacity it takes to get this thing to work. You know, you have to give kudos to Dr. Shaverhood. I mean, it's an amazing process and to have it be where it is. I mean, it took everyone, but it took the ability of the leader to allow all of that, to welcome all of that, and then to make sure that things were heading in the right direction. It's just an amazing thing.
Yeah, it was definitely a community, you know, huge team effort. You should give yourself some credit too, there, Dr. Schwab. So it was great. It was great.
Pretty amazing.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for that update. Putting you on the spot like that. Thank you. So under report of the school committee, I did want to mention also the mask day on the Hill. I know that last year, maybe it didn't happen. The year before that, Mike, you and April attended. Yeah. So this year, I know it's, I believe it's virtual. I don't know if that was something either one of you have seen or were interested or thought about attending.
What's the date on that?
Yeah, I don't know what the date is.
Friday, April 16th. Have you not? There's been a few emails. I got a postcard about it.
It was they usually always did it on a Wednesday, which was ideal because I don't work Wednesdays, but unfortunately Fridays are one of my busiest days, so I would have to miss it, which is a bummer because it's something I really enjoyed.
And honestly, I haven't even seen if they've put out what the format is. I haven't seen it. So maybe we'll just wait until next year and hope that it's back in person for next year. It sounds like it's, I mean, I have never attended, but it sounds like something that would be difficult to pull off virtually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I give them credit for, you know, making that attempt, but okay. So we'll wait for next year on that. Does anyone have any other business? Mike?
So I just forgot to ask, you know, earlier, and if Mr. Palladino's on, I was wondering if you could let us know what's going to happen this year as far as, you know, having the presentation of the scholarships and such.
Sure. So thanks for asking. We honestly are super focused right now on the prom. If you want to know about any venues south of Boston for proms or weddings, see me. But we are planning on still doing our traditional award ceremonies, including the scholarship ceremony on Spillane Field with a rain date built in. So more information will be forthcoming on that after we get through vacation and get the kids into the building. But we do have dates that we have earmarked for all those events. We hope to be able to have all those type of events on Spillane Field in May or early June.
Oh, that'd be great.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm
I
really
just,
glad to hear that we'll still have a prom. That's awesome. I know so many kids in last year and so many towns have been so disappointed that, you know, the culmination of their high school year, they always look forward to it. So I love the fact that our district, even with graduation last year, is really trying to make sure that in such, you know, tumultuous time that we're able to still put the kids first and find ways to make these things happen.
thank you. I just wanted to talk a little bit. We've talked the last couple of meetings about in-person meetings. I did hear back from the Assistant Town Administrator, Doreen, so she did let us know that we still are unable to meet in person at the Multi-Service Center. But I'll continue to investigate other options for in-person meetings. That is important, I think, for us to come back to meet in person. And we'll keep working on that.
Can we just move another town that allows it?
Yeah, hopefully soon. And then the other thing I wanted to say is to thank you to Dr. Schwam for providing us with the draft of the strategic plan so that we have a lot of time to review that in advance of the meeting. I'm not sure if it's our next meeting, but in a future meeting that we'll be reviewing that.
Yeah, those are just that's just a process.
Right.
It's not the plan.
Okay.
It's just everything, a collection of all of the things that we've sort of gone through so far.
Mm-hmm.
So all the notes from our meetings, all the people involved, you know, all the different things we've explored, the PowerPoint presentations, you know, all of those, who's on what group, who's leading what group, what are our areas of focus. It's really just a culmination and that is the goal for that will hopefully provide you with a maybe at the most 10 pages that or less is the goal to provide you with a draft to vote on June 17th. We
June
hope.
17th. Okay. All right. Well, I just wanted to say thank you. I just appreciate
You're welcome.
the information ahead of time. It's really helpful to be able to look at that ahead of time.
Anytime.
All right. If no one has anything else, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Okay, roll call vote. Kevin,
yes.
Mike,
Yes.
April,
Yes.
and myself, yes. 400. Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. See you at town meeting.